Welcome back to Agent Tactics. The agent I have on today is in the Austin market. And when I say he's doing things differently, he is doing things in ways that agents don't even think about. And the success that's starting to come from this, doing these creative ways, is far exceeding what most of us are doing. Let me give you an example. He started off a year ago here at Real. He's been in the business a couple years, but he started off here with very low production, right? Because he had just started. He did $15 million recently. He's got 7 million under contract, and 6 million of all of this is all off market. And he's growing a team rapidly because what he has done is seeing a ton of business from it. I'm excited to talk to you, Jeff, because what you do is a little interesting. So I'll set the groundwork for today. Jeff will see a lot somewhere and go, I wonder what the zoning for this is. Awesome. We could put 3 homes on this. What's the new law or rules around this? Who is a client that would want this? Oh, I have 19 people that I've talked to about something like this. Let me find out who this owner is. Hey, owner, I could bring you an offer today. What do you think? Boom, off market, closed in 5 or 6 days. And all he did was drive by and see a lot. Amazing. Jeff McElroy, welcome to Agent Tactics.
Thank you, Jeremy.
So walk us through. I mean, I gave like a really high level of what you're doing. Walk us through real quick what your team structure looks like and what you're doing and how you're helping your team here in the Austin area. And I really want to dive into how you're finding these off-market deals, how you're creating this investor packet of investors. I mean, you're doing things that anytime somebody goes like, oh, I'm thinking about commercial. I want to do something commercial, or I'm thinking about this and it requires this. I'm like, call Jeff. Jeff will help you with that. So walk us through a little bit about what you're doing, because I think you're doing things that nobody's even thinking about doing.
Well, mostly just me here until April, and then
Yep.
April I got an office, added an operations manager. The transaction coordinator is more or less full time. I mean, I think we have 13. I think if you were going to get moved over this month, 2 full-time agents, and now 2 full-time offshore VAs.
Mm-hmm.
So we're pretty busy with that group.
Well, I even forgot to put in there that you just hit elite with Real, which is a production award. So it's not like you're only doing a few deals, like you are producing yourself. So that's a huge honor and a huge feat. So walk us through kind of what you're doing on the business side and how you got into kind of what you're doing, because what you're doing is so beyond what any real estate agent even thinks about. Because we think about the X's and O's of real estate, right? We find a single family home, we market it, we find a buyer, goes under contract, closed. You're not doing any of that. Well, you are, but that's a very small piece of what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a little piece of it, but I think the basic premise, I view it kind of as business development followed up by sales. So I don't see anything as an A to a B. From the outside, it may look like I find some land and we close 5 days later, but chances are there's probably anywhere from 1 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 months, maybe even longer in the background, just developing the trust with the seller in order to make that transaction happen. So so most of the stuff I'm doing is land, either in the city or outside the city. And through the efforts of when I find a property, but by now I have a pretty good idea what the zoning looks like. But I'm learning more about the deed restrictions, because in some areas the zoning may be conducive to doing developments, but the deed restriction does not. So I saw a property that looked awesome, but can't be subdivided because the minimum lot size is 11,000. You start to develop that tribal knowledge that most people never have, and even many builders don't have. You start to get trusted not only by the sellers but also the builders. Now, on the builder side, one of the decisions I made, whether it's right or wrong, is I don't have a buyer's list that I send things to. I take deals one at a time in a bespoke manner to somebody that may want to buy. And so they know that I'm not playing them off against my other customers. And it just builds a high degree of trust. And it puts me in a position that I become valuable to their team, because they know they're not looking at junk. They know they're looking at something that I've checked out. I've done tree profiles. I've often got the deed restrictions already reviewed. So I know what's being built, which is how you value these properties. And so when I send it to them, they know there's a pretty high probability that it's a good deal, instead of just forwarding listings that look like they could be development lots. I only share things that actually are.
So
So,
walk us through how you're getting buyer clients and seller clients, right? So you've networked with a lot of investors where most of us don't work with investors and know how to work with investors the right way, right? How are you getting your investor clients and how are you getting these listings?
well, I think the truth of it is that almost all of these are referrals. So at this point, I'm getting somewhere between 25 to 30 warm referrals per month. And those are coming from what I call VIPs. These are people that I'm in a reciprocal referral relationship with. So for example, if there were an attorney, say a probate attorney, I want to be in a position where I may be able to refer that attorney business for doing trusts or wills, or even doing the probate process themselves. In exchange for that, I would like to be their agent when they have properties that either need to be bought with cash right away, and for families who need to have their home sold in a more traditional manner. Now, there's no shortage of agents that want to work with probate attorneys, but we build an entire suite of services around helping their office um, make it easier for their office when these situations happen. So like this month, we're in the process of putting up 11 listings that came from a probate attorney. There's another probate attorney that I'm interested in doing some work with. I've referred him 4 people that need to have trust put together. And so it's not so I'm creating that relationship everywhere I go, whether it be with an insurance agent, lender, um, appraisers, surveyors, architects. Is I don't I refer people. I mean, this month I think I've referred out almost $8 million worth of commercial loans with no expectation of anything other than that the next time they need real estate services, they think of me first.
It's
So
almost as if you're living that motto of work hard, be kind.
well, I think it's part of, you can call it karma, but you call it the law of the universe. Is when you get out and you give to people without expectations, you'll get more than if you are out looking for breadcrumbs. So there's nothing more irritating to me than somebody who wants to get a commission for referring me to somebody else. I
Right.
want people the people I refer, um, I refer them because they're good, because they're honest. I know they're going to take care of my clients. Down at the bottom of that list is I'd like some reciprocal referrals from them. But at the end of the day, I want to refer people to people that will take care of the people I refer. That's a lot of refer to type stuff.
It's almost as if you've built your own network of BNI group, right? So what a BNI group is, you go once a week, you have lunch with, 15 people. There's a lender, there's a plumber, there's a contractor, and they all try to find ways to refer each other's business. And to be the realtor in that group is very hard, right? That is like one of the most coveted positions. So you've almost gone to all of the probate attorneys that you could find. You've gone to the plumbers, you've gone to the contractors, and you've built business by just referring, being the centerpiece for that. And so that's where you're getting a lot of these clients. But you work with a lot of in like high value investors. So example of what Jeff's done is he got referred a deal. There's an agent here at Real that needed to sell some land and they didn't really know how to do it. I said, hey, connect with Jeff. Jeff brought a developer out there and said, hey, look, we have this lot. What if we were to subdivide this and here's what we could do with it? And the developer's like, yes. And now you're going to be listing all of those because on a deal that you were referred, you brought the developer on it. So you're doing development deals. But how are you finding these developer clients?
Well, another component is what I call high value relationships. So there's people that know everybody, right? These are business owners, 20 or more employees. These are people who own large amounts of commercial real estate. These are builders with significant influence inside the market. This could be a pastor at a church, for lack of just to say it's not always somebody that's writes the check themselves. And so every week I'm trying to connect with at least 5 new people, call them cold calls and try to establish some type of relationship with them to find a way to, help their business, help them make more money, and become, and move into like a reciprocal relationship with them. And so that's a dedicated focus that I'm doing every week. So in fact, the call that just came in was exactly that. It was a builder who reached out. And one of the things that I will always say is, what are you looking for right now that either you are having trouble finding, or if you found, you'd want to move on right away. And that could be either professional or personal. And it's a very unique question. Not very many people ask it. Not very many people have heard that, but you'll generally find, yeah, if I had, this is what I'm looking for, but I can't find it. And then it's like, okay, tell me more about that. And then it becomes, okay, this is what Bob is looking for. And then I go look for it. And my next conversation is, hey, this is what I found. So I'm having that conversation with every single person that I meet, and I'm keeping track of those in a form I call the All About You form that I put into my CRM. And so when I hear something, I'm thinking, who would benefit from this person's services or this particular opportunity? And then I want to put those people together, many times without any expectation of compensation or referral breadcrumbs. And what ends up happening is I get a high degree of trust. And so I'm much more valuable to be part of their lives than an agent looking for breadcrumbs or a commission. And so
Beth asked about probate. Beth, what's your question? I don't think you really asked a question. I think you just said, I always want to know more about probate attorneys. What's your question about probate attorneys if you have one?
What's a good way to get started with that? Like, do you have a letter that you send out or?
I did send out a letter, and I created a video on my website. So if they click a QR code, they see the video, and then I call on the attorneys, and then I'll walk into their office to hand them a copy of the brochure that I mailed them. It's a slow, grinding process because they guarantee they already have somebody they refer out for this type of work. And so it's basically be present, be accessible, be friendly, be helpful, and do it with some consistency. So it needs to be a program. I think if you're going to get into probate, you realize that what they need you to do is actually relatively simple. We do it all the time, but you need to have a high degree of empathy because chances are that attorney is going to be introducing you to one of their clients. And so they're going to see is like, would you represent that referral very well, and just be consistent with contacting.
So it's a long game.
It's all a long game.
Okay.
I wish I had more short games sometime.
Well, all of real estate's kind of like that. So
Let's move into, so your networker thing with developers. I mean, here's an example of what Jeff does, and this kind of reminds me a lot of a guest we had not too long ago in Gus. But Jeff went to Washington to run a marathon or a Ironman not so long ago. Walks into a development, starts talking to a developer, and then boom, is setting up to list development in Washington, right? So what is it? How does that work? How are you approaching developers on like taking over their development?
Well, that particular one was like, what I did was I just figured out who owned it, looked through the tax records, contacted the guy at his office in Bellevue, connected with him on LinkedIn, called him on the phone. He called me back. He happened to be just down the street. So I took a friend of mine who's a commercial and residential lender, made an introduction, and then we'll see what happens. I think in that particular case, probably would like recruit an agent to reel and just give that listing away because I shouldn't be doing listings in Washington State.
But I mean, again, but you're doing that.
I was also looking to learn a little bit. This particular guy's building triplexes and duplexes, and in what appears to be a nice part of town. So he's building a higher finish level than you would normally think you'd see in a duplex. So I was kind of interested in that as well. And also learning, we used to finance his other developments, which we're actually using the same lender to finance the development that I'm a part of. It's all about learning and building the network.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting here is we don't spend enough. We spend so much time creating video content. I mean, obviously, like a lot of the people that follow Agent Tactics here, we talk about video. So I like to sprinkle in all the non-video stuff, right? But most agents see, okay, I got to do YouTube, I got to do Instagram, I got to do, TikTok, or I see all these people getting views, and you're just making connections and making phone calls and
Just like
doing,
that. See behind my head?
yeah,
That's the
outwork
strategy.
everyone, right?
Well,
Yeah,
hey,
outwork everybody.
well, can I ask you a question about what you just said?
Yeah.
Sure.
You got a commercial lender that knows how to finance a development with 5 plexes and 6 plexes in it?
Well, this one's were three plexes, but
3
yeah,
plex? Yeah, because I got one of my builders is wanting to do that. He's wanting to put in, because we used to build affordable housing under 200 here, and we can't do it anymore. We just can't. But he's got some land where we think if we do townhomes or maybe 4 plexes or 5 plexes like that, that we could probably do it, but we don't have anybody here that would even know where to start with that.
where are you located?
We're in Mississippi. We're in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I don't know if any of the commercial guys, we could talk later. I'll get your
Yeah.
info from
Yeah, just let me
Jeremy.
know offline. They may be able to help.
Hmm.
So this is exactly what's amazing, right? Is this is in real life what you're seeing? It's just connecting with people with no, like Jeff's not saying to Beth, hey, get me all your referrals to the Austin area, right? He's just like, hey, let me give you value. So, and he's not saying he was born and raised in Austin, which is fun.
Who is though, really?
Not very many people. That's an inside joke.
It's
Anyway,
Town Lake. That's all you need to know.
yeah.
Always
So
be
let's talk about let's talk about how you're finding some of these development deals, right? So you're looking at lots, right? So number one, you're connecting with people in general that are high net worth people, right? Lawyers, doctors, things like that. You're connecting with all these people. Obviously, all of those people are going to be investing at some point or maybe sending you business. So that's working out in that way. Let's talk about some of the development deals that you're putting together, because you are putting together development deals. Walk me through how you're starting to find some of this land, how you're starting to find some of these deals, how you're putting those together, because you're talking about, we always look at finding one home and selling one home. What if you could find 50 homes and sell 50 homes? And that's what Jeff's doing.
Well, I mean, if you look at some of the development work, they were all referred to me.
Right. But why were they referred to you? Well, let's talk about some of the land deals though. Like you're working on finding land in Austin.
Right.
So
So I think if you look at, Austin's a very unique city with a code that has just recently changed, that is not understood by very many people. They have the home ordinance, which allows you to build 3 homes per lot, which is going to be subject to the deed restrictions. And then you have the home ordinance 2, which allows subdivision to as small as 1,800 square foot lots, which applications can't be accepted for that until November. So part of it is I've looked through this year, we've analyzed over 500 lots that appeared to be good fits. And so, but of those, I think we've taken down 23, and all
okay.
23 of those have been off market. And
So how does the process of that work?
and they're all have been sophisticated owners and sellers. So none of these were anybody that was tricked or gentrified. These were actually bought from other investors that didn't want to go the final stretch to buy. So you can find them, and none of these on the MLS, right? So sometimes you see them. If you drive by something long enough and it's vacant, it stops being weird that it's vacant. I just make a note of it. I can usually find the owners, whether it be tax records,
How are you finding the owners?
tax records usually, and then just doing some backward skip tracing on the LLC names.
Okay, well, how does that work? So I find a lot and I want to get the owner's name. I pull up tax record and it says, 123 Main Street LLC. What do I do next?
You Google 123 Main Street LLC, and you'll probably see it on Corporate Wiki or US Open Corporates. And then it'll tell you who the managers and officers are. And then you can skip trace that person's name, find them on LinkedIn. I find a lot of the people on LinkedIn.
Okay, LinkedIn. All right. Do you have other apps where you can pull up info?
Simple stuff. You could also pull up permit history. The city of Austin just changed their database search, so you can't do bulk searches, which is incredibly painful because I would do bulk searches and I could just sort through stuff. Can't do that anymore.
Don't you have other apps that you're using that tells you information, like using Landglide, or what are you using?
I use it, land ID, but
Okay.
the information is just pulled in from the tax records. So,
Okay.
so
Will that give
that
you
was
phone numbers through there?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't do it that way. If I can't find the phone numbers, I'll send them a FedEx to their house.
Okay.
More
Perfect.
effective than a random number calling them. Anyways,
Okay. So, all right. So you found, you look at this lot, you say, look, they could build with the new development deal or the new Austin land rules changes. They can build based on these metrics. They could build 3 units on this. So I valued the property at this. The seller can do this. How are you bringing that to the buyer or to the listing side to list that property?
situations like this, I'm usually just putting the deal together and just getting paid at the closing. It's not that common to for that to turn into a listing. You know, I've one listing right now where the guy wanted me to make an offer, and I just told him, you know, it's not gonna work. I'm not gonna embarrass you or me by giving you an offer of what it's worth, because we're not the same strike zone. Right, and then he eventually called, and I said, well, I can show you my worksheet. I sent him a copy of my worksheet of showing the value. Then he called me and asked me to list it,
Okay. So how does that work?
just like that.
I know, I know, but like, okay, I want to get a little more granular, right? Like,
Well,
how would you
I
put some
think
of
the
this stuff into a
value
sheet?
is I talked to the guy probably 5 or 6 times,
Okay,
and then I met him in person. Right? If you're not willing to meet somebody in person, you're not going to get these type of listings. And the seller here is also very sophisticated, very smart, has a good idea of what the land is actually worth, right? And so over a period of time, you realize I wasn't a guy just looking for a listing.
okay,
So I built that trust, and it probably took, I think I was referred this guy by multiple wholesalers, you know, an agent in an office had talked to him. I mean, he had probably talked to 50 different people, right? With different approaches, people trying to wholesale the property, people trying to tell him why his property wasn't worth what it was worth, you know, agents promising they could sell it. And he just liked my approach because it was slow, it was patient, I wasn't trying to force feed anything with him. And he chose me to help him sell the property. You know, other cases where you might have a seller that is, we'll say this is a seller that's being gentrified. You know, they're on a fixed income. The property tax has gone up, even though they have a homestead, and they can't afford to live in their house and maintain it anymore to the degree that most people would like to live. And so they want to sell their home, but they've also been robocalled with numerous cash offer for your house, wholesalers offering them, you know, 20 to 30% over what the property's worth. And reality is they're scared because their entire savings or retirement is tied up into that house. And where they want to go, they may not have the funds to be able to buy the house where they go. So in that particular case, you know, some of these listings have taken 3, 4 months, and they say things like, I don't want a sign in my yard. I don't want it on the MLS. I don't want my neighbors to know that I'm selling to an investor. I don't want people to see the inside of my house. So it takes a high degree of empathy to have these people believe that you're looking out for their best interest to get them the most they possibly can get for their house, because it's everything for them. And so from that prospect, it's not as sexy and as exciting as it might look. Because some of those, I mean, I had one where this tree was preventing the build. Over a period of 2 years, he was trimming his trees at the 20% of the tree canopy until the canopy got high enough that somebody could build a house with a second story underneath it. And then we finally got it sold. It took over 2 years to do it. No MLS, no sign in the yard, just calling builders one-on-one.
that's not as sexy as putting out a just listed property tour, or I've joined Real, you know?
No, it's not. But you know, there's a mix of those, right? So back when the market was booming, you know, you could use that approach and you could sell a house in one day
Right.
with multiple offers to builders, because they were just grabbing land as quickly as they could. But and the people were getting more than they expected. But now it's the other direction. You know, people are very conservative. The cost of lending is very high. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market. There's a lot of new construction that has not been selling. So it's risky for everybody. I like to say, buyers and sellers are equally disadvantaged in this market.
So how are you circumventing that, right? I mean, obviously you're still selling homes. You've got the sales to prove it. You've got the elite award at Real to prove it. You've got the team that's growing in a market where things are uncertain, to say the least, especially in the Austin market. How are you still lining up these deals and getting them done?
There's just a big pipeline. And so like this, this month we closed one using owner financing.
Okay.
Was something that I was referred this couple from a woman in my coaching group. Super nice couple. They were struggling to get their home sold. They bought right at the peak of the market. And they said they had talked to other agents about using owner financing. They told them it was illegal. They didn't know how to do it. They were confused. And I actually brought that up as, if you want to get maximum amount of money for your property, this is how you would do it. And that particular listing, we marketed it off market because we wanted to test the value using like top agent network. Within our network, we've got really nothing. We did put it up on the MLS advertising the owner financing. We had a call come in that I took, and then Gloria, agent in our office, went and took care of the buyer, and the seller. We ended up with multiple offers on this particular property and got it.
How did you marketed that on the MLS as seller financing?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, but the part of it too is because the month before I'd sold the house with owner financing without using the MLS, because you can market within your own network, your own database. You can market to off market like top agent network. You can use ATX Pocket. You could use some of the investor forums, even though that's generally not your target audience. And that way you can provide some assurance to your client that, hey, this is the feedback we're getting before we go live on the market. And that way you can, the price feels more real to them versus let me take some pictures and put it up and see what happens. And we'll talk about a price reduction in 2 weeks. So in this particular case, we actually listed it, I think, at the right price. We had a whole bunch of people in the house, ended up with 5 offers, and the winning offer was substantially higher than the other ones because of the owner financing.
Walk us through, for maybe some people who don't understand how owner financing really works, because I know a lot of agents, especially in the Austin market, would probably benefit from knowing more about how owner financing works. Walk us through how it's working and how you've been able to work it into deals.
Well, I mean, I think that the simple part, right? So if you're going to get a loan, you're going to be paying origination points to the lender. You're going to pay appraisal fees, underwriting fees, and those fees are going to add up somewhere 2 to 2.5% of the loan amount. And your interest rate is going to be, what the interest rates are. Let's say it's 6.5%. So your cost to close with a conventional loan could be $15,000 to $20,000 at that $600,000 price point.
Yeah.
Or if you do owner financing, you can likely get a slightly better rate. You're not going to have any origination fees, no appraisal fees, no underwriting fees. And the seller becomes the bank, and a loan servicer is put in place to collect the payments and do all the tax reporting and keep track of the amortization. It's surprisingly simple and straightforward. And
what if they have a mortgage on that house? How are they able to get out of that? Can they use owner financing with a mortgage on it?
They can. So I mean, there's different variations of owner financing. One is called a mortgage wrap. The other is subject to financing. Subject to financing is typically what you may see in a distressed seller. The buyer comes in, pays a specified amount in cash to the seller to pay their closing costs, and then they take then they continue to make the mortgage payments to the original note maker, even though they didn't assume the loan. Happens all the time. There's several title companies here that specialize in doing that type of work. It's super common. Or you can have a mortgage wrap where you literally have 2 amortization schedules. You have somebody who has a loan right now that is collected by that servicing company, call it a 30-year amortization. Let's say it's at 5%, but the seller may have an underlying note that's been advertised for 4 years at 2.5%. The servicing company collects the money from the buyer, pays the note, and then pays the seller the additional spread. And then at closing, because the first party's note is amortizing at a higher rate of speed, they're also going to benefit from some profit on amortization. The numbers are staggering how profitable it is for a seller to use owner financing. I mean, it's just unbelievable, like over $100,000 more over a
I
10-year
feel
period.
like we need to shoot a video from our YouTube channel on that topic because there's not enough, I don't think enough buyers and sellers understand how that works. I know a lot of agents when they hear, I mean, I tell you on my listings, I get, as soon as I list the property, I get 25 emails about, hey, would you want to do subject to? Do you want to do subject to? We do subject to. It's a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
anybody else in the comment section getting subject to offers immediately? Carlos is. I just saw Carlos, I thought. Nice.
Yeah, guys, if I can chip in a little bit here. Sorry, I was driving earlier. So yes, I'm familiar with this. I bought a duplex this year through owner finance, but I just got certified with Ian. It's called the Seller Financing Specialist, SFS. It's like a certification, and there's only a few agents in Austin that have that certification. It's through a program called MORE, MORO. They have partnered up with title companies that know how to do these wraps. It's basically a subject to with a wrap. The way that they promote this, so I have already one of my sellers sign up for this program, and you can market it. They'll create a flyer for you to put it on the MLS, and they'll give you the description that you can put on the MLS as well. And basically, how it works is that, let's say my seller has a 3.25 interest rate. Well, he's offering a 4.99 to buyers, right? So he's making money. He's cash flowing on this by selling the house at a higher interest rate. But 4.99 is very competitive in today's market, right? That's like
Right.
A buyer can be saving money by taking on a 4.99, and these are balloon in 3 years. So for 3 years, my sellers will be cash flowing. I mean, in this particular case, it's a $420,000 dollar house. They're going to be cash flowing about $450 a month for 3 years. And then at the end of the 3 years, those guys, the buyers who are putting 20% down, they're going to refinance. Once they refinance, my seller gets paid the full amount. And, but basically how it helps me and the seller, well, through marketing, opening this up to more potential buyers that want a lower interest rate. It's a win-win for the buyers and a win-win for the sellers as well. Very interesting.
Interesting. Well, I think that's you're gonna
How
have
do you
to
avoid the due on sale clause if they've got a mortgage on it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think they just, I transfer all my rental properties into LLCs, and nobody has really trigger. I mean, it exists there. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. I think likelihood of that to happen. These guys have worked on this with attorneys, and they figure out a way of. I think they put it in a land trust, so they don't actually. So the bank, the lender doesn't actually know that there was a transfer because it's on a land trust.
Well, I mean, I have several properties that we've done that with, and the lenders really, if you're continuing to pay, I don't think the lenders really want to mess with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think
A builder that does it with stuff that he's got, like they're in bank loans, and the bank lets him owner finance and keep his loan and pay it. But I've never actually done it with somebody that had like a mortgage. It's a great idea, but I didn't know you could do that with a mortgage loan in place.
Can you, Carlos, real quick, can you put a link to or the information for that seller financing course in the description?
I can actually, if you guys text me or something, I can actually give you the contact, share the contact for that person, or I'll look it up and just put it there in the comments as well. The contact where you can go and you can get certified if you want as well. It's a $250 fee. Ian already did this as well. Ian and I did it together.
Yeah, if you have the contact, put it in the chat there. That way we can all reach out.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, that was good information. All right, Jeff, let's get back on track here real quick. As far as some of these other deals that you're putting together, walk us through what else are you doing that's special that most agents just aren't doing to put together some deals?
I'm on mute.
You're on mute?
Yeah. You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, it's weird. It says it's on mute. Yeah, I don't think I'm doing anything special. You know, I probably talk to, I know I talk to 70 to 85 people a week because I keep track of my calls. Consistent with, you know, asking what I can help people with and then asking for referrals. And then I'm always looking at every single deal from the perspective of the seller and the buyer because it helps get these deals done, right? So I don't think that's anything particularly special. It's just like I'm just really focused on making sure that the deals can happen because it needs to make sense on both sides.
For us unorganized people who would make 80 calls and then never follow up again, what's your process for putting these leads and conversations into a database or a CRM? And then what's the follow-up look like?
So it starts with a form like it's called the lead tracker. It starts with a form called the greatness tracker, which is keeping track of face-to-face meetings, meals with people, and conversations that I had called great conversations. I'm also keeping track of the number of leads I generate per day, listing contracts and buyer contracts.
In what form?
On a piece of paper.
So you're keeping organized on a piece of paper all of this stuff. It's not a database.
So yeah, yes and no. So that's on a piece of paper, handwritten.
Okay.
And then I have a lead tracker, which is an Excel spreadsheet where I'm putting the leads into that spreadsheet. And then I'm putting those into Lofty for the CRM. And so
Okay.
as I'm talking to people, Wednesday is usually the day when I'm doing most of my database follow-ups. So like, you know, we're almost to November. So in November, I'll have a new lead tracker. And I carry this around with me everywhere I go. And so if I have some open space or some white space, I'll just start going through my lead tracker and making calls in reverse. I'll start calling, hey, who do I need to follow up from October, September, August, July, June? And so I have about 2 years of these. And so they're all in one spot and I'm literally have it printed out on a piece of paper. So I do and people keep saying like, if I add somebody that's a lead tracker that's a homeowner, I'm going to add them to HomeBot. So they have, they're getting a monthly email from me on the analytics on their property. Then I'm going to call and tell them I put them on HomeBot and why I like it, and get to is there anything you can work with? This would be like your regular residential real estate type clients. I also have every month, I keep track of past transactions. So I'm reconnecting with my clients on the date of their past transaction as well as on their birthdays.
And are you tracking that through Lofty or what are you tracking it through?
I have a form that's I created called All About You. Well, I didn't create it. It's a form that was given to me by my coaching group, where I'm keeping track of this information for my clients to prompt me to re-engage with my clients on birthdays and transaction anniversaries.
So I'm writing down Menchaca's information so I can get not myself, but Eileen finance certified. Is it 0969? Is that what I put in there? 096. I just got a call from a 469. No, 0969. Okay, perfect. So how are you prioritizing your day then? Because like I think that's the thing too, is not a lot of us are actually running our schedule, right? Okay, I have dead time between here and here. I don't have anything on the schedule. I need to do follow-ups, right? How are you prioritizing your time then?
Well, theme days to start. So from a team perspective, we have a Monday, we have a team meeting, a sales meeting. Tuesday is our transactions in queue and listing overview. This takes about an hour. Wednesday, don't have a team meeting. Thursday, sales meeting. Friday, no sales meeting. On Mondays, I'm reconnecting with my VIPs. I have now that I have them all into Lofty, I have them in a segment called VIP. And then I have a trigger that if I haven't talked to them in 30 days, it pops up that I need to contact them. So that's Mondays is VIPs. And of course, I'm also doing lead follow-up. Tuesdays are existing clients. So anybody that's currently in a listing agreement, buyer's rep agreement, in the middle of a transaction, me and my team, we're contacting them. Wednesday is day with the most calls, which is following up on past leads. Thursday is contacting with past clients, and Friday is designed for new relationships. But it's hard to keep it all on track, right? Because if you get a bunch of calls, the natural tendency is, okay, you're gonna go chase what's hot. But the key is to make sure you have time blocked off to make new calls, times to follow up on new leads. You put some of the crisis stuff on for your team to take care of, and then get back to it if you actually need to be the one that fixes it. When you got a great team, they solve a lot of problems without you having to be in the middle of it.
Do you have like an SOP you've put together for your teams to handle some of these things?
It's in progress. It's not where I'd like it to be, but I'm finding that the team can solve a lot of these problems without me telling them how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes better than I would have done it. So, but as these things are coming up, we're writing the SOPs. For our contract to close and listing, we have some checklist in Monday that we're following, which has gotten to be just like a massive number of tasks, because I think they include a lot of subtasks. So we're going to go through and see if we can consolidate that so it doesn't look so overwhelming. Like on our checklist, I think the most important part is communication with your client. Do you know the scariest time for a client is when let's say you get a listing?
When you, for like a listing
So
or
let's
seller
say you
client?
have a listing appointment, you get the listing, right? And you're
Yeah.
like, this is great, I'm ready to start. That is the point of time when your client is the absolute most terrified. Because that's when they're thinking, did I make the right decision in hiring Jeremy to sell my house?
Okay.
Or hiring Jeff to sell my house, or hiring Jeff to sell my land. And so from that point, that's when the communication has to be really, really good. You have to be really good at introducing your team in a high value way. Otherwise, you're going to be on every single call and every single conversation with the team, and ultimately provide a lower level of service if you have to be the one doing everything.
I'm writing this down and I'm time marking this for my video guide to make that a reel.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I have all the answers. I mean, that's why I'm getting coaching and I'm learning a lot of this stuff as I go. And as you start doing it, it feels like common sense, which of course is one of the least common of all the senses.
Yeah.
And it takes some real effort to keep that to be part of your schedule. But the only way to do it, I think, is to follow this. Like that, this guy, his name's Jeremy also. He says you think of your business in real estate, it's ultimately a sales business, but the sales business fails without the service side. If you imagine it like a conveyor belt, if you're not putting new opportunities on the front of the conveyor belt, the business falls apart. And as a team leader, your job is not only to lead the team, but to create new opportunities. And if you can't create new opportunities, there's nothing for everybody else to work with. And so now my thought process is, okay, well, before I'm looking for opportunities that I could work on, but now I'm also thinking, okay, what opportunities would be good for Max or for Gloria or whichever other agents we're working with? How can I create opportunities for them? So like this last month, Gloria was on the buyer side of one of my transactions. Max had 2 transactions from a lead that came into the office where I just literally would not have had time to serve this person anyways. And so it becomes a win situation, and it allows us to have a bigger business without me being the one doing everything.
Interesting. I love it. Well, what do you, so what's your drive to do all that? Because I mean, really, like, I know I get tired. I as a team lead trying to create everything for everybody, what's your drive to continue to do that for everybody?
In the words of Ari Gold, the goal of every agent is to not be an agent anymore.
I love it.
So if you think about it, when I started in real estate, the goal is, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need to start from the bottom, right? So the idea is, okay, I need to learn how to be great agent. And I think I learned how to be a good agent. Because there's definitely some agents in Austin that are really great at what they do. You know, then it's like, okay, well, the next step would be to be the brokerage or the team leader, you know, which is what we've implemented this year. And then I look at, okay, well, I like the idea of development. It's very interesting to me. And then the next step is to be a syndicator. So if you're a developer and you have a team, you've created great opportunities to employ a lot of people doing some really cool stuff. And if you're a syndicator, you have the ability to really multiply that because now you can help people in different markets. And so that's my personal drive. And that allows me to at some point retire without, you know, holding open houses, right? Where I
Right.
started like a lot of people. Because I view that as a way to build some really great relationships, to be able to get a real estate, move down the line, and then also employ a lot of people and hopefully have some meaning in their life due to the relationship with me.
I love that. Yeah. I feel, you know, after 11 years in the business, I wish I would have brought on more agents sooner, done more of what you're doing, create a bigger, I mean, look at Real, I have an amazing network of agents that I'm connecting and bringing together. I wish I'd have tried to do that a lot sooner because after 11 years in real estate, it definitely takes a toll on you doing open houses, running to take care of last minute things on a listing. So I'm definitely with you there. Awesome. All right. Well, we will chat with everybody soon. Thank you, Jeff. And if you want the playbook for this, it'll be out in a week. Every Monday we send out the emails from these calls. So this will be live on Monday. Thanks for your time, Jeff.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy.